What's going on, everybody? Today I want to talk about the top themes basically and the concerns of the Eufy Make community over there on Kickstarter and also on Reddit. I like to kind of do these. I like to let a little bit of time pass by before I kind of address things that I'm seeing in the comments that are being directed towards Eufy Make. A lot of these things they are answering kind of vaguely still. They're not giving out too much. They're kind of relying mainly on the reviewers, the sponsored reviewers who are obviously making content continuously with their product. And I'm not going to say that everything is horrible. The things that they're putting out look good, right? It's just that, in my opinion, some things seem a little too good. I did see one video, it was probably about an hour long or so, and one of the sponsored reviewers actually did like a Q&A. It was a pretty good Q&A, but it didn't really hit some of those main things that people actually want to know about. So, it is what it is. I think, like I said, once backers actually start to get their product and start to use it, a lot of questions will be answered. A lot of the bugs are going to be there regardless. It's just going to be how quick can Eufy Make or Anker, solve these issues and make everybody feel at ease. So we're going to go ahead and get on with it. I wrote down quite a few bullet points that I want to touch on, and we're going to just get into it. All right. Number one, there still seems to be some confusion and concern about printing on curved and tapered surfaces. All right. Obviously, you can print on, people are kind of, still asking, can you print on like a flask, like a liquor flask? Can you print on a tapered bottle or a mug or a tumbler? These are actual valid concerns in my opinion, because these are products that people can make themselves versus getting it print on demand. And then a lot of these products like the mugs and the flasks and stuff like that, people are going to get them from the store. They're going to get them from hobby stores, or they can get them in bulk from a manufacturer that they deal with. And it would be very useful to know that kind of information before you start hoarding and buying those products in bulk, and then realize later on, once you get your product from Eufy Make, your printer, that is not necessarily rated to print on those things. I would have to say that the biggest issue that I want to talk about kind of in this same area is that there's a lot of backers that are concerned with the rotary and how it actually works with several different types of products. There seems to be another issue where people are kind of confused on whether or not this rotary can actually print on curved surfaces, or if the surfaces have to be basically like if it prints perfectly on like straight-sided items. It does have an auto leveling feature, but does that auto leveling feature really handle slight curves to certain objects that you're going to want to print on? And I'll get back to that in a second, but I'm going to move on to number two because it's kind of going to piggyback on what I just said. So number two, the flatbed that we have on this thing says that it prints to a maximum of 100 millimeters max, right? Printable. But it also states that there's diminishing quality above 60 millimeters. So the concern is that, can they do something before these units get out to address that and to actually not have a 40% minimum diminishment of print quality before this thing even gets to its users? It's almost like a half truth. It's almost kind of like a Glowforge, where they say your bed size is this, but then you find out that your actual print size is like not close to what the bed size is. So that's kind of the same issue or the same concern that people are having. Like, why are we limited to 60 millimeters? Can you please fix that? Again, I'm going to address the rotary thing because The rotary mode has a strict diameter and taper rules. And so, like I said, it's gonna leave a lot of other, like a lot of shaped products like mugs, when you print on the sides of them, you know, they have a really big curve on them, right? What else? Like skateboards, maybe, without, you know, can you print on those without having any like additional like add-ons or anything like that? You know, these are valid concerns, not necessarily huge or deal breaking in my opinion, but something that could be addressed really, you know, relatively easily by the team, especially with all the review units that they've put out. You would think that it would be a little bit easier. All right, number 3. Surface flatness and unevenness of different types of products that you're going to be using. Printing on uneven surfaces, maybe textured surfaces that are already like pre-treated or like pre-resined. Some tumblers are already pre-resined, right? You have like 3D prints, relief 3D prints is one of them as well. Like, is it limited at all? And also with that, people are kind of showing concerns with the manual bed positioning, and if you can override it and make the Z-axis on the damn thing better, right? It's kind of hard when you don't necessarily have one to tinker with. You kind of just got to go off the reviewers and what the information that they're giving you. But that is a concern about the Z-axis, and being able to like I said, manually override that that bed position to make things a lot better. All right, number four. Materials and temperature compatibilities. This is kind of like a nerdy thing. You know, it's not, like I said, it's not necessarily like super huge, but will the people are wondering and asking this like this week, like, will the cured UV ink hold up on a 3D printer plate? Right? That's like around 40 to 60 degrees Celsius, excuse me. Can you print on like different materials like water slide decal paper, different types of fabrics? One of the big things that I'm interested in is if you can technically do DTF, like direct to garment printing on shirts. I mean, not DTG, but DTF. If you can print this on fabrics, you know what I mean? A lot of people really want to know if it's possible and sustainable, right? Is it able to print on body parts or body part accessories like fingernails? The fingernail business is actually a really big business. I know there are other avenues that people go through to get to do custom fingernails and stuff like that, but this would be pretty awesome if you could actually do that. And it's sustainable and it works. Basically, is that resin going to be safe enough to be touching your skin? You know what I mean? With exposure to the skin and stuff like that. Again, not super huge things, but things that I've seen come up this week in the chat, basically. Number 5, prints. This is kind of a big one. This one kind of does, you know, this one does make me think a little bit more, and should make you think a little bit more too. But number 5, print speed and throughput, or the ability to make a lot of product for hobbyists versus people that are going to be doing this as like a business bulk users. You know what I mean? Like, so we've seen claims that it takes anywhere from like 10 to 20 minutes to print on a coaster, right? In terms of other UV printers, that's really, really slow, right? That's really, really slow. Most other UV printers that are like for like, you know, industrial business use are going to be printed anywhere from like 100 to 150 plus, you know, per hour, right? Versus the 10 to 20 minutes per hour for the Eufy make, right? That's kind of a given, considering that this machine is not touted or touted to be, you know, an industrial type machine. But people are making a request for like conveyor belts, roll-to-roll accessories, different types of accessories. The biggest one for me is that I wish they would really answer it is, are we going to have bulk ink reservoirs? Can they make that a thing? Because it's going to, if they can do that, if they can make that an option, of course they're going to charge you out the wazoo, but it would be much better to have different options versus sticking with the little small bottles that they're going to give you, because people who are getting this for bulk reasons, from like mass production kind of reasons, you know, they probably should just get a different printer altogether. But if they're using it for that type of reason, you know, they should make accommodations for that type of user, right? What else? Auto duplication settings. Are we going to have jigs? Can there be a remote app start to enable like small batch productions? You don't have to necessarily worry about that. And I think that's actually pretty cool, because unlike a laser printer or a laser engraver, you know, it would be great to be able to set things and walk away. Although I don't recommend that with any kind of automated machine, but you know, can that happen? You know, I would never do that with laser engraver, like never. Too many people's homes have burned down. Things happen when you don't expect it. But that would be nice to know if they can implement those things, or if those things are actually even possible before these things roll out. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Let's see. Excuse me. Probably one of the most common things, number 6, that I've seen is people asking about add-on availability, and like, you know, and just concerns in general with the pledge management. I believe what I saw last was that they were almost getting ready to hit about 30 million in pledges, and people were wondering, you know, are they going to get, you know, another type of what do you call that? Pledge goal or whatever? Are they going to add anything? And I think the consensus is that they were skipping 30 million, and they were going to do something for 40 million if they hit 40 million. So, you know, it's just little things like that people are, you know, asking. Some of the add-ons, like I said, that are being asked about is like ink cleaning kits, 3D texture kits. They're not necessarily saying like where some of these things can actually be shipped to. Some of these things aren't going to be able to ship to, like, the only place I know of right now is like Japan. They're not going to be able to have certain add-ons being shipped to them. I don't know why yet. I don't know what the reasoning is behind that, but you know, hopefully they'll be able to address that soon enough, prior to July, when they claim to start shipping these things. Which brings me into my next bullet point, number 7, the shipping timeline, origin costs, fees, all that good stuff that we've all been kind of terrified about because of the whole tariff war. You know, when exactly is this thing going to be shipping in July? And in what batches are they going to be shipping from? What are they going to be starting off with? And Anker hasn't really put much, like, they've been pretty vague. They've just said it's going to start shipping in July. They haven't really said when. They haven't given any exact dates. And they've been kind of quiet and not very forthcoming about the batches that they are going to be putting out first. You know, I think this is actually pretty common when it comes to Kickstarters in general. Again, everybody in the early bird is concerned about getting theirs first, and what position they're actually in from the order. And you know, that's just a normal for Kickstarters, I think, in general. So I really wouldn't put too much weight on that. With the amount of backers that they do have, I mean, they're closing in on 30 mil. Like, that's a lot of backers, considering that this thing is well over $1,000, right? So it's not like a crap ton of people, but at the same time, it's a crap ton of people. So everybody's just anxious at this point. It's getting closer to the deadline that they said, like I said, is they're going to be shipping in July. So, I mean, only naturally people are like, when am I going to get my shit? What else concerning that? Where are they going to be shipping from? Are they going to have these things being able to be shipped from like Seattle, California? Are they going to be shipping from China? People still kind of want to know that. Are they going to be shipping from multiple places to get batches out quicker? What else? You know, like, what's going to happen if you can, people are trying to coordinate delivery already because they're traveling, you know, it's summertime. Are these prices going to include tariff costs? Especially if you live in places like freaking Australia, which is expensive to ship anything there. But, you know, these types of things people really want to know, and they're kind of quiet about it right now. I think it would be awesome. Oh, the other one is, Are they going to actually start the manufacturing process after the Kickstarter closes, or are they already doing it now? How many do they have? They have already started now. How many are they going to have built to be able to ship out starting in July? Valid concerns. Again, I don't think that necessarily they're probably in the logistics right now, trying to figure all that stuff out. I think it would be pretty dope if they had multiple locations, either manufacturing or being shipped to different locations, like warehouses, where they can just start shipping these batches out. Like, this batch is going to be shipping directly from this location. This other location's already working on this batch. As long, it would be much better if they have different facilities that are working on this versus one facility that has to work in a straight line, batch by batch by batch, because that means the people who backed later are definitely going to get their stuff months after July, if that's the case, right? So moving on, a pretty big one. Number 8, maintenance and consumables. We kind of touched on this a little earlier. Like, how many cleaning cycles? The one that I keep seeing is, how many cleaning cycles can you get out of each kit? Is it going to be 8 uses, 9 uses, 10 uses? Can we see ink level indications? What about idle mode versus auto humidification modes? What are the differences, and basically the ongoing ink / cleaning fluid consumptions, especially when it's idling. Like, what are we looking at here? Like, how much are we going to end up spending in maintenance versus actually using this damn thing? This one I think is kind of a big deal. But a lot of people aren't necessarily they're not necessarily informed about like how DTG worked when it first came out. A lot of the issues that DTG adopters had on these $10,000 machines that they were buying was that you had to always do cleaning cycles. You had to always make sure those lines were clear, because if you didn't, boy, you were going to be in for a rude awakening when it comes to replacing tubes, replacing parts, because you have to keep these things clean all the time. Most of these machines you can't even shut off, which is why I think that they have idle for the E1. They're going to have idle modes, probably hibernation modes, humidification modes and stuff like that, to keep the lines clear and unclogged, right? Because it's a big part of how these machines work in general. So I'm not going to necessarily knock them for that. But it would be good to know more details on these things specifically, right? Number 9, the last thing I want to talk about, and then I'm gonna kind of give a little summary, is this has been an ongoing thing. This is going to be the thing that most of you are going to hate because you don't like people talking about it, but it's going to be project legitimacy and real world testing. I get it. The only people that's got these things right now are reviewers, sponsored reviewers. Again, there's nothing wrong with sponsorships. I'm not going to shit on the reviewers because they were chosen to be sponsored. They were chosen to get sponsored to use these things, right? I'm not going to shit on them. They are doing what they're supposed to do. They're able to get these types of projects in their hands. They're able to put them through the paces, and they're able to get paid for it. There's nothing wrong with that. But people are asking for more legitimacy and more real world testing on these things. I'm going to go over a few things that you're probably not going to like. We're going to talk about them anyway, though. Backers are still pointing out that none of these sponsored reviewers are actually showing live ink laydowns on any kind of print. A lot of people are throwing around the suggestion that Anker or whoever is basically sending out pre-printed samples, and then they're calling it like, this is what it is. And so a lot of people are screaming, this is a scam risk. This is a red flag. I would always say red flag. I'm not going to say scam when it comes to Anker. They are a pretty established company, although a lot of their successes are in the battery department. You know, what the major thing that bothers me is that they just did this kind of project with their 3D printing, and then they completely shit on the community and left them hanging. I mean, people still today are on Reddit asking, where can I get support for this thing, this E6? Where can I get support for the M5 or whatever? Like, how are they even supporting this anymore? And they left the community, man. They left them high and dry, and that is scary, man. That's scary because, again, you're moving on to another project where people are pledging thousands of dollars, and they just want to know that you're not going to leave them high and dry like you just did your last project. So, you know what I mean? It is a little scary. Everybody is asking for like raw, uncut, close-up videos of actual prints in progress to verify like these compatibilities for different types of products, like I said, before they go pledge thousands of dollars. I think that is a very, very valid concern. I think that's a valid request. Now, you're gonna see videos and shorts that are in studio settings. You don't know how many times they had to actually do that print to make the short, to make the video, for it to come out flawless, right? People are wanting, if you're gonna do like a live Q&A, I've said this before, do a live Q&A, get on Telegram, get on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, get on Instagram, get on YouTube, do a live Q&A and do live printing. Let's just do some live shit so people can see it. What the fuck is that? Live stuff so people can see it and they can make up their own mind and determine whether this thing can actually do what they're seeing on these pre-shot, pre-prepared videos and shorts that Eufy puts out and that all these influencers are putting out about the product. That's it. They could put a lot of this stuff to bed, man. A lot of these concerns to bed if they just did it live, man. And, again, the money being raised, it shows how many people are excited about this thing, how many people believe in this thing, even with some of the limited critical information that, Anker is willing to put out at this time. But the general consensus, again, in another week, has stayed pretty much clear. People want real world proof that this thing can handle different variety of shapes, sizes, and materials in a workflow in real time. The other big concern, like I said, is just reassurance on shipping and the biggest thing, support, before fully committing to this project. I'm telling you, it's okay. This thing is gonna have some nightmares when it gets into backers' hands. It's unavoidable. But that's everything. If you bought a brand new Xbox on day one, guess what? You're gonna have some damn issues, which is why I don't buy generation 1 of anything, because usually they are always going to have the most problems, the most bugs to put out that need to be fixed and things of that nature. Just don't think that people are even entertaining that at all. And to me, the scariest thing, which most people are kind of worried about, is just the support aspect. The support. When these things go wrong, not if they go wrong, when they go wrong, are they going to be able to fix these things? Because the first thing that people are going to scream is that these influencers and sponsored reviewers have had these things for months. They've never talked about these things, these issues that we're having now. How the hell did these issues make it to us, but they didn't seem to make it to them? You see what I'm saying? So again, they can put all these things to bed by just doing live freaking Q&As, live printings, and letting people see if there are issues, what comes up, what happens, and how they can fix them. I think that would be pretty dope. That would definitely seal my conscience and say, you know what, I'm back in it. I'm gonna go in, you know what I mean? Versus waiting for it to hit mainstream. So anyways, hopefully this helped you guys. I don't know, like I said, I enjoy making these videos because this is a product that I'm genuinely interested in getting for my business. But I am not going to early adopt something again when they can't be very transparent. So it's just not going to happen for me. Maybe it is for you. Let us know how that shit works out. We're going to be watching. I'm going to be watching. I always said, give this thing like 4, 5, 6 months down when people get their machines and they're able to put it through the paces, and we can kind of see this thing work its glory and what the nightmares are going to be and how fast Eufy can fix them. That's it. That's all that really matters. All right. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.